Hello everyone, and thank you so much. I will not present again myself, also because I know that the time is not so much. And okay, so I will present today very briefly my research. It's the research that I'm conducting for my PhD, and I will just show you some examples from my research, and I'm doing now my third year, my last year of my research, so it's just I don't have a lot of answers, but let's see. I will very briefly talk about the methodology that I'm following, and then I will present the objectives and the findings of my research. Objectives is, so as she said during the introduction, I'm trying to collect and analyze visual representations of menstruation in India with a focus on Mumbai. I'm doing on 3 different levels. For the first one is I'm trying to identify, first of all, because it's not so easy, and then analyze artwork by Indian artists. Second one, I'm trying to collect images that are in the city of Mumbai. And also I'm working with NGO and organizations in Mumbai. And third one, I'm using visual participatory methods, and I'm conducting some workshops and I asking participants to represent their experience of menstruation. What about the methodology? It's visual anthropology and ethnography. It's also called visual ethnography, but very briefly, I'm conducting 7 months of fieldwork in Mumbai, and I'm doing interviews, participant observation, and so on. And images are not like a support of my research, but are the data that I'm using during my research. I'm using also methods of visual anthropology, like, for example, the third objective that I told you, the participatory research is part of visual anthropology, just to give you a very brief overview. What about my research? So I will show you 3 different examples from my research, one for each objective of my research. Going through the first one, this is one image by one Indian artist, 𝐾𝐢𝐿 Mitra. He's from Kolkata, but he's based in Mumbai, and he represented this art. He did this artwork in 2018 during the Durga Puja. And basically, he chose to represent menstruation and Durga Puja because he got to know that both the wife and before the mother and the sister, they couldn't perform the ritual of Durga Puja, the most important festival for the Bengali community, and especially that here his sister-in-law was feeling very sad because she bought the new sari and everything to perform the ritual. Then menstruation came and she couldn't perform, so he represented a lotus flower made with blood, with color red, on a pad, and on the top the 𝐃𝐢𝐿 of the goddess Durga. What happened? He posted the picture on Facebook, and after just few hours, he received a lot of negative comments, not just him, but also the family, very, very bad comments. Now the image is not more on the platform, because the platform itself removed the image from Facebook, from the platform. But if you search 𝐾𝐢𝐿 Mitra menstruation Durga on Google, you can find a lot of newspapers talking about how people felt that this image was hurting religious feelings. Going to the second one, as I told you, I'm trying to collect images and ephemeral visual materials from the city, and I'm trying to create a sort of map of visibility of menstruation. As you can see, there are some images with the red dot, and there are some images around the city, and what I understood is that there are images, and I'm finding images in the places that I'm spending time. So, for example, I found a lot I'm studying in the Tata Institute of Social Sciences with the research affiliation, so I'm staying in the hostel, I'm spending a lot of time in the campus, and the 2 pictures that you can see are from the campus. So the first one is an instruction that I found in the girls' hostel, and basically in giving instruction in how to use pads, there is the word shame, that is a very strong word. And the second one is pad dispenser for pad, and that's very interesting because this dispenser is just in front of my hostel, and I saw the dispenser just after a few weeks I was there in the hostel. And then I started thinking why it's my research, how it's possible that I didn't notice the dispenser just when I reached the hostel. And then I realized because there is no any visual sign related to menstruation in this dispenser, so there is no pad, there is no red color, just blue, there is not the word for pad or menstruation, it's not like so visible, but like in the blue line there is written, collect your product here, not your pad. But at the same time, I'm working and I'm following the work of a lot of NGO in Mumbai. And the other picture is one picture from one event of Masika Mahotsav. I know that there are some partners here, so some of you, I'm sure you know the Masika Mahotsav, the festival of menstruation that started in India and now has partners all over the world. And also I'm collecting all the visual materials that the NGO that I'm following in Mumbai are using during workshop, etc. Going to the third one, I did some 6 workshops in total, and in colleges in Mumbai, in a slum area in Thane, in a village outside Mumbai. And I decided to use drawings as a research method because it's the most accessible way to ask people to represent visual something. And these are 3 examples from 3 workshops. The first one is from the slum area in Thane, and it's clear that, I collected more than 150 drawings, and most of them are very similar. So the drawings from the colleges are very similar, the drawings from the slum are very similar, etc. And most of the drawings from the slum area represented pad, because there are a lot of NGO working on distributing pads and also menstrual cup. The other drawing is from this village, and a lot of drawings from that village represent menstrual restrictions, so that they told me that they are not allowed to go inside the temple or to cook inside the house, etc. The third one is from the college, from one college, and most of the girls that attended the workshop represented the feelings related to menstruation. So it's clear that different places like rural areas, slum area, and college represent menstruation in different way. Why I choose to, I have just 8 seconds, but why I choose to use images to study the menstruation in India? First of all, because there are not research on this topic. So there are a lot of research, of course, about menstruation, but not research about images and about visual representations. And also, as I showed you in the first image, artists are creating very provocative work, and I think it's very difficult to find them, and I think it's important to show these artworks. And I will stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Valeria, for sharing your incredible work and how visual representation of menstruation and menstrual blood has shaped women's experience women's experience of menstruation in India. Next, I invite Dr. Sara Baumann for her presentation. Dr. Sara is an assistant professor and filmmaker in behavioral and community health science at the University of Pittsburgh School of Public Health, USA, where she is the founder and director of the Global Women's Health Research Collective called GLOBER. Her research preaches participatory art-based and visual research methodologies, gender and women's reproductive health and mental health. Dr. Sara pioneered a participatory visual research method called collaborative filmmaking, which has been utilized by numerous partners around the world for creative research, programming, and advocacy. Dr. Sara has over 15 years of experience conducting research and programming in health and development in South Asia, with a current focus on Nepal. Over to you, Dr. Sara.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here today to share a little bit about the work that I've been doing in Nepal. This project that I'm sharing today is really the culmination of, I would say, 11 years of work in Nepal looking at menstruation and the complexities of menstruation in Nepal. So I'm very excited to share this initial findings piece with you all. We're still analyzing the data, but I think some interesting findings are coming out of this project. And we used a realist synthesis, which is a specific methodology that I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the first time this is being used in Nepal, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to apply it to other topics, so hopefully methodologically it'll be interesting as well. And then the last thing that I'll say before jumping in is that this is the first aim of a 5-year study. This is a 5-year co-design, community-led project in mid and far west Nepal. So we are going to continue building upon this work using actually some of the awesome tools that Valeria already talked about, such as participatory drawing and photography and filmmaking. So that's a nice connection. So in this study, we know that there's already menstrual discrimination. We've talked a little bit about that today. This particular project that we are doing is focusing on exploring what has already been done to address menstrual discrimination in Nepal. So we know that there are many organizations, incredible activists, incredible interventions that are happening, but what we really wanted to understand before we jumped in and started our co-design work with communities was to learn from all of the amazing work that's already been done with incredible partners in Nepal. And so while there have been a range of interventions to address chhaupari or menstrual discrimination across the country, what we really wanted to understand was what are the underlying theories and mechanisms for why organizations are making the decisions they are, why they're making certain intervention choices. And so what we sought to do in this study was to be the first to kind of comprehensively assess which components of these chhaupari interventions are showing promise and what can we learn from them so we can kind of continue to make strides together. And so our objective was to distill programmatic insights from chhaupari interventions to date, really looking at the complexities. So not is this program working or not, but how are the programs working, for whom, in which contexts, and why. So I mentioned realist synthesis. Just very briefly, I'll introduce. This is a theory-driven and systematic approach to synthesizing complex intervention data. So it's going to bring together lots of different data sources, from YouTube videos to campaigns to peer-reviewed published literature, but also programmatic reports, which I think is something that I'm hearing a lot, is that academia prioritizes peer-reviewed literature, but there's also so much to learn from these programmatic reports. So we're really excited that we get to bring in those insights into this work and really try to understand these deeper causal forces. If you can see the picture of the iceberg over here, it's really trying to understand not just what people are doing on the surface, but why is it working or why is it not working and how. So that was our goal. And so what we did to start off is we had a knowledge sharing workshop. This happened a couple of years ago, and many of you in the room were there. And we asked you to actually start to generate evidence and theories around why you started to make the decisions that you did in your menstrual health or menstrual discrimination targeting programs in Nepal. And we learned a lot in that initial workshop. We then went out and collected all of this secondary data, and then we consulted with community members, program experts, government, in Bajra and Acham, as well as in Kathmandu. And so we're trying to synthesize all of this evidence. And what we ended up coming up with was identifying over 2,000 resources. So I think this shows that there's incredible breadth and depth of work happening in Nepal. This is all Nepal-specific resources that are looking at menstrual discrimination. So much work being done. We narrowed it down to make sure that we had a narrow focus for our study, and we ended up focusing on 69 pieces of evidence that gave us really policy or programmatic tools and implications that we could use moving forward to design chhaupari interventions. So as long as they had some discussion of that, we included it in the review. And here's what we found very quickly. I'll run through. I don't think this will be completely surprising because we're already starting to talk about the importance of multi-level interventions, diverse ways of thinking about dignified menstruation. And so what we started to find was that first, creating an enabling environment is critical to menstrual health interventions or menstruation intervention in general. So making sure that women are aware of their rights, right? It's not just kind of coming in and providing a one-time education. It's this whole environment, kind of complex environment in which women are living their lives. We also had several organizations mention economic empowerment and the importance of thinking about economic empowerment when it comes to also menstrual health interventions. Raising critical consciousness among women. So I think a lot of you have already been talking about this as well, is that women do hold power. And so how can we meet them where they are and elevate that power? Women at the center of the interventions is key. We also uncovered that families are key allies. This is something that we're really exploring, kind of moving forward in our intervention. How can we continue to support families to support women? And I saw that also in the theater performance this morning, which was exciting. Many of you are also aware that there are several organizations that partner directly with religious leaders and traditional healers. And some of those interventions have seen great success, and some of them have had big challenges. And so we need to unpack that further, but there is an opportunity there. As well as this idea of awareness plus policy enforcement. So policies are being put in place, but what does enforcement look like? A lot of the organizations we talked to are really starting to think about, but what does it mean on the ground? What does it mean in the community? And then this idea of a harm reduction approach. So trying to introduce change over time so that women can really be in charge of that journey and avoiding things like drastic and abrupt changes, but being present in communities and doing that work over time. So these are some of the initial kind of theoretical mechanisms behind all of the work that you all are already doing. We just kind of came together to highlight what are the key findings for us. And so what we're hoping to do is to bring this forward in a policy brief, bring it forward to share with all of you guys. And what we hope is that it will be used in a way to inform future intervention work. What are some of the key mechanisms and theories that we can use to kind of have this concerted effort as we move forward to continue to address dignified menstruation in Nepal, but also globally? So I'll just stop with this final slide to thank the organizations so far that have fed into this work. We would not have been able to do this without all of the reports that you are willing to share and all of the interviews that you did with our team. So thank you to all of them, as well as the communities in Bajura and Acham that supported this work, and some of our team members and advisory board members who are behind this work as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sara, for your hard work with the research, and I really appreciate you sharing your research findings with us and to really show us what are the facilitating factors that has been, taking up menstrual discrimination over the generation in countries like ours. Now I welcome our third presenter for the session, Mr. Mohammed Ziauddin, to share his experience on gender-responsive strategies for adolescent programming and the critical role of boys in inclusive reproductive health education, including menstrual dignity. Mohammed is a senior specialist in adolescent and young people program at the Center for Catalyzing Change, India. With over 2 decades of experience, he has been pivotal in designing, implementing, and scaling youth-centered intervention that advance adolescent health, including SRHR, education, gender equity, and life skills through both in-school and out-school settings. He played a key role in conceptualizing and implementing UDAN, one of India's largest and most impactful adolescent development initiative. His recent work focuses on girls' education and engaging boys and young men to promote gender equitable attitudes and inclusive approaches to reproductive health and education. Mohammed, over to you.
Thank you, Sharmila. So I won't introduce myself again, rather I start directly from the presentation. So when we talk about the programming for the girls, we normally talk and target girls only. But this is the first time we have target boys because we always, since morning I'm hearing that we are talking about patriarchy, dignified menstruation, and there is a discrimination and control over the programming and the agency of the girls. So this is not moving. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So this is a story about two districts in India, Gumla and Lohardaga, which is predominated by the tribal population. Almost 70% of the population is tribal, and 25, almost like 1/4 of the population is adolescent. And the society is predominated by the patriarchy, which means the girls have limited freedom to exercise their agency. They have like a limited access to the services, and also something wrong is happening with this. Like, yeah, okay. This is bad going on. Yeah, thank you. So patriarchy is like a predominant society there, and the girls have like limited freedom to exercise their agency. This leads to school dropping from the schools. Many of them have not completed 10 years of schooling, and early marriage is rampant. Also, many of them like start childbearing by age of 15 years. And the boys, this also means that the boys grow up learning the patriarchy and considering that the menstruation is something which is a girl's matter, and this needs least talked about. And they have of course the girls menstruation is a girl's matter, but they have a control over the SRH decisions and agency. Similarly, the girls also grow up like listening maintaining a silence around the menstruation. Of course, the menstruation is something very normal biological process, but despite it is surrounded by silence, shame, and of course stigma. So, considering all these, our program came into light, and this is where we have decided to reverse the norm, change the narrative, and deroot the patriarchy. And in this process, we focused on promoting a positive masculinity, developing gender egalitarian attitude among the boys. And with us, 15,000 boys joined through the programming, which integrates sports, because in Jharkhand, hockey and football are the two key sports, and we mobilize and consolidate boys through the football, wherein the 15,000 boys joined. We've undergone the transformative gender egalitarian life skill sessions. They have also joined the helping developing understanding around dignified menstruations. We have also developed a cadre of peer educators, and youth champions have also joined. We became the advocate and the biggest champions for the dignified menstruation in the community. We have this mission was also joined by the parents, community leaders, service providers, who basically created a supportive ecosystem for the program, wherein the boys and the girls found it that a conducive environment is created in the society. If they made it normal to discuss openly about the menstruation, and also they found it easy. This whole effort made it easy for them to access services. The service provider also joined us in the process, where they offered the correct information, also offered clinical and counseling services to the adolescent. And the boys who are the part of this whole journey, they have also came forward to support the women within the community and their home to access the services and to support the dignified menstruation. The mission has also, this whole process has also transformed into the masculinity, has also transformed into the positive shift, and the gender score has gone up from 2.6 to 3.4. Their boys have found it normal to discuss about the menstruation. They have also started supporting the girls to access clinical and counseling services at the facilities, and the service providers who earlier facing challenge to mobilize the adolescent to bring to the facility and to the service point where they are offering the outreach services for the menstruation. This all have gone up. The boys have also The peer network group has also created like a safe space for the boys to discuss and learn about the menstruation, which is immense, have had like had an immense impact among the boys and the girls. We can also see that the boys have joined like their family discourse, wherein they were talking about the menstruation. They are supporting the women at home when they are menstruating. The community and family have started supporting this menstruation awareness. Boys started sharing the household chores while the women and on their menstruation. And boys believe that menstruation is something which is normal and which need to be talked about, rather than like an indulge and influence with the shame. So they shaded away the whole positive masculinity has shaded away the shame and stigma around this menstruation and dignified menstruation. When we talk about the way forward and the key gaps, it is very important that we integrate the nutrition, health, and hygiene program, especially the menstruation component and the school education program, whether within the or school adolescent education program offered at the community level as well as the school level. Reproductive health information is very much important when we talk about the menstruation, because whole reproductive health program is incomplete without talking about the menstruation, right? And also, we can't achieve the target intended outcome around dignified menstruation if we don't engage the parents, community leaders, gatekeepers, and the decision maker in the whole process. Besides, it is equally important that we should not limit the service provider up to the facility level. We should bring them up to the community level to ensure that they offer services at the community level, at the doorstep, and ensure that clinical and counseling services are being accessed by the person who really need this, right? So this is something, the whole this balance for the better program is now a transformative mission, where the stigma is now transformed into a sharing responsibility. Shame has now transformed into a open discussion, and the bullying part of which was earlier considered, the boys were a bit hesitant to talk about. They coming forward to support the girls in the school, the girls in the community to access the service, clinical and counseling services, including the menstrual hygiene services at the community level. So this is all, and of course, the decision which we consider as the girls matter is now taken care by the boys as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, and thank you so much for sharing your experience on engaging boys, especially on talks sensitive like menstrual discrimination, and how the program has really helped to push forward the shift of toxic masculinity into positive masculinity, and how you've been engaging boys, to get engaged on this very topic. We will now move into a short question and answer session. If anyone in the audience have any questions to any of our presenter, please raise your hand and we will have it answered through the speakers. Anyone from the audience? Yeah. Can we have a mic? Yeah.
यहाँ सम्पूर्णमा नमस्कार। म एउटा अघि त्यो बिचको चस्मा
So the lady who was wearing the glasses, she used the terminology taupadi. Sunena. Wait a minute, as we are about to get the translation devices. Check, mic test. Check, mic test. Check mic test. Are we audible? Namaste to all of you. I'm 𝐷𝐞𝐜𝐿 from Jumla. Earlier, one of the ladies, while presenting, used the word chaupadi on many occasions. We have been running different campaigns in different districts to end the menstrual discrimination, and the chaupadi, it tends to have a negative connotation, and a negative narrative is against it. We should perhaps be using dignified menstruation rather than using the word chaupadi. So how can we change this word or carry out the necessary alteration?
Okay, so this question is especially for Sara. She was asking, since we moved forward on this issue, and we've shifted the narrative from chaupadi to menstrual discrimination, given the fact that menstrual discrimination, chaupadi is just a direct translation of a local Achami language, and which simply means menstruation, right? And so her question is, it's time for us to move beyond that term and call it menstrual discrimination. And she is also asking, since we've already used the term chaupadi, how could we change the narratives and go along with it? Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me? Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question. I think it's a really important one, especially because I was just chatting with my colleague about this before, or this morning, and he is from Assam, and we were talking about the kind of breakdown of the word and the language and the different ways in which chaupadi is actually used to communicate. And so absolutely, I think there's obviously a huge opportunity to shift language. I think as this movement continues to grow, we do need to shift. What we were talking about is how we need to kind of perhaps come together and really put out what is the language that we should be using, how should we use it, what is the guidance, and can we do this in a way that's very systematic and inclusive with lots of organizations and lots of activists, and really trying to make sure that we're all on the same board, because if we're all coming together and using similar language, that's really important, right? And so I think absolutely there's an opportunity to do so. And the other thing that I'll say just kind of around this issue of kind of making sure that our language and our approaches are community-centered, I think is really key to this. So while language is one piece, also understanding the diversity of practices from one community to the next, right? We've talked a lot about that today, that there's so much difference and so much diversity in a really beautiful way. And sometimes, at least for me in the work that I do, and probably you as well, it's the visual, co-design, creative tools that really help us to develop that deeper understanding. And so one example I'll give in the work that we're doing in 𝐷𝐿𝐿 in far west, in Midwest Nepal, what we're doing is using local 𝐷𝐸𝐷 songs for women to actually express themselves. So instead of us coming in and doing in-depth interviews, which are a powerful qualitative research method, we're trying to think, how can we actually use tools that community members are localized, are ones that they understand and are comfortable with, and how can they express themselves in ways that they want to be sharing their stories. And in that particular community, 𝐷𝐸𝐷 was a really powerful way, and so we continue to actually construct and deconstruct, rather, the words in the local language. And so I'm really excited. We will be publishing that and sharing that in the coming months, but absolutely opportunity to kind of continue to refine, and I think those community-engaged, visual, creative tools are a really exciting way that we can be thinking about doing that in this field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sara. And also a quick note to add on to that, since we are in the capacity to influence people, not just in the power, but also from the ground level. I think it is also important for us to, deconstruct those narratives and move forward. And since this is a learning space, it is also a space for unlearning. So, is a representative from GSCDM and is a organization who's been extensively working on dignified menstruation, I kindly urge all of us in the room and room and in our work beyond these 3 days. To carry the shift forward is a conscious step toward dignity, and it could start from deconstructing the narratives and making a dialogue or anything, starting from the simple as that. With that, if we have any more questions from the audience, yep, I could see a raise of hand over there. Can we have a mic in the middle here?
Okay.
Okay.
To Dr. Sara. So if I am wrong, please forgive me. There you have constantly used the word 𝐶𝐲 there. As Mrs. Devaki also told us that it's like misleading towards a community, because it's my community, I belong to Acham, and 𝐶𝐲 really means is a person who is having menstruation. So like using that word is being misleading towards a community, towards a place. And through your research, how will international audience will perceive the word and community, and how will you tell them like it's not about the 𝐶𝐲, but it's about the menstrual discrimination and everything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we have a whole range of advisory board members, co-design team members, community members on our team. And so while they have not raised this issue with me, it's a good place to start, right? Because we are doing this work together. And so it's great that you're raising this. I would encourage you to write more about it and put out what is the definition, the words that we should be using, but also how do those differ from district to district, right? Because Acham might be quite different from Bajra, right? And so thinking about that as well, I think is really important. So yeah, thank you for sharing, and we'll take it to heart. Thank you.
We have one more question. Yep.
Yeah, hi. My question is for Valeria. I was really intrigued by the map that you had made of the visual representations of menstruation, dignified menstruation across Bombay. So I have like 2 questions about that. One is, what kind of visual representations were you considering while making that map? And 2, how did the visual representations differ area to area? Were there any trends you saw in terms of the socio-cultural demographic of the area? Did they influence the kind of representations you found in that area?
Is it? Yeah, thank you. So it's a sort of ongoing project. So because you can imagine it's not so easy. First of all, to find images related to menstruation, and second, in a big city like Mumbai, it's a very big city. And so initially, I was thinking, so my idea was, okay, for sure I will find advertisements or posters in pharmacies and so on, but I couldn't find anything. And then I also asked for the help for activists, and they also told me it's quite impossible to find images like posters and so on. So what I did, I created a sort of poster, and I did a call on Instagram, and I tried to ask people, and I shared this on my account, and also some activists I was working with, I shared also with their community. And the idea was to ask people to click a picture of any image related to menstruation and send to me. And with all this image to create a map of visibility of menstruation. I didn't receive any answer, so I didn't receive any image. And for this, I was saying that basically what I found is from the places that I'm spending a lot of time with. So I have a lot of images from the college because I'm living in the hostel, so I found not a lot, but few images from the college. And I found kind of images from public toilets and so on. And regarding the I was searching for any kind of images. So if you think about the image in the, like, not just like the image itself, so the drawing or the artwork, etc., but the, like, if you think about like the wide meaning of image, so also the dispenser of pad, it's a visual Also because you can see the images on the pad machine. I collected also instructions from the washroom, as I told you, and pads in public toilets. So I'm trying to also analyze the design of the pads, etc. What I found is just dispensers, pads, and some instruction like the one I showed you. I couldn't find anything else. And then there is all the part of activism that, of course, sorry, make the menstruation visible. So, but it's a different kind of material.
That answered your question. Yeah. Any more question from the audience? Yeah. There.
Yeah, I think I found that the three of you have given very, very different narratives and very enlightening ones also, so thank you for that. My question is actually to the three of you, because I think your research and your work has been with communities, whether it is with the slum communities or village communities. And I want to know, like, and all of them have been going, and the kind of research that the three of you have been doing is going against the cultural norms or the religious norms of that community has been practicing for centuries. So when these participants of your actions are going back, what are the challenges that they have faced? If you can give with some specific examples, the challenges faced by the participants of your research or your actions, you know, just to to give us more understanding of this.
Maybe we can start. Yeah.
Should I answer first? So we have been working with the boys, which again you are saying is something which is going against the cultural norms and the social fabrics, right? So engaging boys and reversing the patriarchy, something is very challenging and a very not easily accepted process. So while doing this, we decided to work on a group which is in a transformative age group. Because we engage the older age group, it will be difficult because they won't accept the whole concept, right? And whole effort will be get futile. So we engage with the boys, those who are in transformative age group plus. Because in schools, we have chapters in class 8 which talks about the reproduction. We have in India, we have programs like menstrual health and hygiene management program, we have school health and wellness program, we have national adolescent health program, and we have anemia control, weekly iron supplementation program. These program, one way or another way, is contributing to what we are basically intending to. Since the health system and health functionaries are aware of this, they are working in the community, and also the school system is also aware, they are also contributing to these efforts. So we, instead of working in an isolation, we collaborated with the health functionaries, we collaborated with the education functionaries, and we also engage with the local health system and local leaders, right? Then only we can able to bring about a change in the mindset initially, and we also engage the frontline health workers who are basically directly service delivery point. Secondly, as a part of this whole process, initially, of course, we also experienced challenge because reversing patriarchy is not easy task to meet. So initially, the boys were a bit hesitant about accepting all these things. But later on, when we started with the growing up issues, we mobilized them through football. We didn't come directly to the menstruation. We started with the football, then come to growing up, then came to the menstruation part. So this is how we engage them, and this is how gradually, almost it took us 4 years to get this result only. So we can't do things inside unless you collaborate with the committee decision makers. We can't unless you collaborate with the family decision makers and the policy level decision makers. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for your question about the challenges that our community members are facing in this work that we're doing. I think in the studies that I've done in like 10 different districts, there have been different challenges in different places, and those change over time too, right? So whether that was 2 years ago or 10 years ago, the scenario has changed a lot. So I think like the temporality nature of what we're looking at is key here too. One of the things in our recent study in dialect that we've been hearing is issues around community cohesion, backbiting, right? So we're asking women to go against social norms, we're asking that, what's at stake for them? A lot is at stake, right? Whether that be they could be kicked out from their families, whether that be harassment, whether that be they're no longer allowed to use the community water tap. There are very practical, pragmatic reasons, right? And so I think meeting women where they're at and understanding that holistic picture. But I think to speak to one of the big ones that's at the forefront of my mind is this idea of how do we get around this kind of collective community cohesion, because we see that when there's better community cohesion and trust, then that kind of level of backbiting is starting to slowly decay. And so how do you do that though? Very, very difficult, and it takes a long time, and it's deeply embedded in behavior change. So I think this idea of like how do we invest time and resources at like the family and community level, because women are again not acting alone, they're really acting with that influence of that bubble that's really situated around them. So that's what's on my mind right now. Thank you.
Thank you. And so my work is quite different from them, since I'm working mainly with visuals and with images. I think that the most challenge for participants was to find a kind of to find a way to imagine menstruation. So, because like all the images that you can find are just related to products, so pad, menstrual cup, tampons, etc. But I was asking to represent their experience, something personal, so not the pad. And especially in colleges, a lot of young girls and boys, they started using phones to search inspiration. So it was like they couldn't think like the way how to represent like their experience with menstruation. So I think this was the most challenge, and especially in colleges, some of them, they copied each other, so it was also difficult to let them understand that it was not like an art competition. So I have some drawings that really they can be used as a poster for like activists can use, because they are very, very beautiful drawings, but they don't say anything about the personal experience of the person who did the drawings. And also another thing that I tried to do was to use then the drawings as a sort of visual elicitation, so to open a discussion after the drawing session, starting from the drawings, because it was a way to open a discussion and also for me to understand better the drawings, because I can analyze the drawing, I can give my interpretations, but sometimes it's difficult. This part was very difficult, and I could do just twice, and most of them prefer to explain me the drawing without like talking like in front of the class or in front of the community. So these were the two big challenges for them. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We will now take one last from our, yep. Can we have a mic over there?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Camille. I'm from the Philippines. This is a question for everyone, but perhaps Mohammed could be the first to respond. I really believe that we should enjoin the men and boys, teach them to grow up to be respectful men. And we see sports as an entry to help boys discuss body awareness, respect, and even emotional regulation. Now, in terms of emotions, how can we teach boys to understand their feelings and others' feelings without making them feel less masculine?
Thank you. So this whole program, this menstrual basically dignified menstruation program is a part of the boys engagement program which we are taking. And all the boys who are the part of this this whole program, they undergo a transformative gender based life skills session, and which also include emotional and relationship matters, right? And they attend these both the like a component in the community through peer networks, those who are the peer leaders or peer educators, and in a school where we have like health and wellness, school health and wellness ambassadors who transact these sessions in the school setups, right? So at the two levels, they get the information and this kind of like a life skill session, one. Second, this as a part of the health delivery system, all the adolescent health counselor, those who are designated at the facility level, we have designated adolescent friendly health clinics. The person who is coming to access these services, he or she also get information from the designated adolescent health counselors. Those are basically, and they don't talk about that. There is a structured sessions which these health counselors have also undergone training. These school teachers have also undergone training on these components. So they are getting not only the reproductive health information, they are also getting the life skill, they are also getting the gender based, and then also getting the emotional and mental health component sessions as well as the part of this whole programming process. Thank you.
Yes, Mohammed, may I also add on to that question? One of my colleagues from Men Engage Alliance and I, we were talking this just yesterday, how this projects and programs that focuses mostly on young and adolescent children, adolescent group, it just, because they will be in that age group for not a very long time, and we are targeting all this program for them, and after certain years they will be moved to another age group. So how do we make sure how do we make sure that all these programs are sustainable and also fulfills the purpose of the project in the first place?
Yeah. So thank you. So in my presentation, I talk about two concepts. One is a peer educator. Second one is youth champions. So peer educator are those like a member of the program, those who are in the age group of 15 to 18 years. And the youth champions are those who are the alumni of the, and those who have lived this program, those who have experienced this program, and those who have led this program in the respective communities and schools. Once they pass out of the, because our program age group is, adolescent age group is 10 to 19 years. Once they cross the 19 years, we keep them engaging in the programming process as a youth champions, as a mentor, and as a, because we are also using like a sports as a tool. We also engage them in the sports process so that they can keep on transforming, transacting the information and continued process. And once they grow up, at least the information will be used for their family, their own, and with their community. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. This